The story that I decided to do is called Sembrando Historias, Purabelle Prey, bibliotecaria y narradora de cuentos. And this is actually a biography about Purabelle Prey by Anika Aldamoy Denise, illustrated by Paula Escobar. And Purabelle Prey was actually a narrator and a librarian. So this book is about a woman named Pura that moves to New York from Puerto Rico and decides she would like to plant seeds of her culture within the city. She starts her journey working at a fabric factory in the city, but she finally finds a job at a library due to her trilingualism in English, French, and Spanish. While she's working there, she realizes that there are actually no stories within the entire library from Puerto Rico. So she decides that she would like to tell these stories to the people of New York and throughout the country so that they could all better understand and appreciate the culture that she loves so much. She begins telling these stories to children and their families at the library in both English and Spanish, and decides to make her own marionette dolls to go with her stories. She then writes and gets her book of these stories that meant so much to her published. Shortly after, she meets a musician, and they get married, and they begin to travel the country together while she tells her stories and he plays his music. After his death, she returns to New York to continue her life there in old age, where she finds that the seeds of her culture that she planted through story time were growing and being told by volunteers at the library, even after she had been gone for so many years. She felt it was as though she had never even left the city. I decided to use this story for my transformative book talk because my classroom has students that have just recently moved here from other countries and are struggling to learn English. While this classroom is actually a bilingual classroom, it is really difficult for the students that do not speak English to feel like they're welcome within the classroom, it's hard for any new students, just in general. But this makes it a little harder for them because there are certain parts of the class that they don't actually understand what's going on. So this book is written completely in Spanish, and because my classroom is bilingual, and all of the students speak Spanish, even if their first language is English, I thought that the story being about a trilingual woman of color being successful due to her multiple languages and in her attempt and success of bringing the culture that she loved so dearly to a nation that did not show its appreciation for that did not show its appreciation for it would be compelling to my students to listen to. The fact that they can see their multilingualism was appreciated, that her multilingualism was appreciated and important to others, and that she saw a lack of her culture being represented and was willing to change it, can show students that where they and their classmates are from matter, whether or not they are shown appreciation by the dominant culture. I want my students to feel encouraged that when they see an issue that they do not like, or an under or misrepresentation of their cultures or their friends' cultures, they can take action and try to change that. Because they're not part of the dominant or privileged group doesn't mean that they can't exercise their voice and come up with various ideas to make a change in the places around them for the better, even if it's with something small. I really think that this text is a great, if you can speak Spanish and if you're in a bilingual classroom, even if not, you can still have this book available to the students to read for themselves if they speak Spanish, because I think it's very encouraging for the students that don't really see themselves represented in books, because Pura was a woman from a Latin country. I mean, it's part of the US now, but it was a Latin American country where they speak Spanish, where their culture is underrepresented here. And I just think that that's that's really important for them to see. And all of the characters, there are so many different characters with various skin tones, um, people from other countries. And I just think that this is a really, really important book.